Hey guys, Ronnie here, and sorry for the short hiatus, but I went away this weekend. Now it's Tuesday, and I'm very much in that catch-up mode that you do when you don't meal plan and you don't grocery shop and you're just kind of flying by the seat of your pants when you get back. So I, on the way to work this morning, pulled out a pound of ground beef, figuring I would figure out what to make for dinner when I get home. So I just got home. Well, that's a lie. I got home about a half hour ago and I had to clean the kitchen before I could cook. So I'm in that kind of week. You guys, you know how it is. My stove's a mess, so don't even, we'll see if I show that camera angle. Anyway, so I have this ground beef and I decided to make Salisbury Steak. And then I realized I didn't have any Worcestershire sauce, however you want to say it. Which is, it's a big ingredient in my personal recipe. So we're gonna still make it, but we're gonna try to make like a substitute Worcestershire sauce. And this is what I mean by kind of my inspiration for doing these videos, is kind of inspire people to use what they have on hand, and you can still make a great dinner for your family. So I have a pound of ground beef. I have some homemade chicken broth that I'm gonna use to make my gravy. I use a whole package of mushrooms, kind of half or 2/3 in the ground beef. That way the kids get some mushrooms. And then the rest I use as the start of my gravy. I'm gonna roast some broccoli. And then to make it simple, because I don't really have the energy nor the potatoes to make mashed potatoes, I'm gonna just use good old-fashioned egg noodles. Now, I buy whole wheat egg noodles, and this is one of the whole wheat substitutions I have made that the family didn't even notice. No one said anything, and so I've been buying whole wheat noodles for a long time now. So I'll pause here and kind of get some stuff set up, and then I'll show you guys how I make this and come along for the ride, and we'll see if it works out. All right, so just a quick status. I have preheated my oven to 400 degrees because that's when I'm gonna roast the broccoli, which I just prepped. I just cleaned it really fast and cut them into little florets. And now I'm going to just drizzle with a little bit of oil. I think I said this before, but I use grapeseed oil mostly for, it's got a good smoke point and it's kind of nondescript, so let's the normal flavors come through. And I'm just gonna put a little salt. So I'm not gonna put these in yet because they're gonna be done before everything else. So I'm gonna hold back, but and wait till my oven preheats for those. So I also put my pound of ground beef in here, and we're gonna add to that some egg and mushrooms and stuff. These mushrooms I just bought, and oh, it broke on me. I was like this little cute little like collection of mushrooms. Anyway, I am going to chop these. So some of them I'm gonna just slice like this and keep them sliced for my gravy. And then the rest I'm gonna just chop up. I kind of half it and then have a flat side. And I chop this way. I think you guys can see my knife. You can. And then I chop the other way. I have attempted to do this in the food processor, and I feel like it makes a bigger mess. So mushrooms are super easy to cut. They're soft, and I just chop these kind of a couple at a time until I get like a mince. Because I'm gonna add, like I said, about 2/3 of that package in with the ground beef. And it adds a ton of flavor. It bulks up the meat without having to add like a breadcrumb or something like that. I used to add oats or breadcrumbs. I don't anymore. I just add this right into the meat. It keeps them moist. Like I said, adds flavor, and the kids are eating mushrooms and they have no idea. So I'm gonna continue making this so you can see the pile, and then I'll come back and we'll wing this Worcestershire sauce creation I'm gonna come up with. All right, here we are. So again, I think you can see this. I have a big pile of just minced mushrooms, and it's about 2/3 to 3/4 of that package, which I think is a pint, right? It's a pint of mushrooms. So I'm putting that in with my ground beef, okay? And then, so just so you can see what it looks like. See the ground beef in there? Okay, cool. The rest, this, I am going to saute as the flavor base for my mushroom gravy. I'm not gonna claim that my mushroom gravy is a real mushroom gravy, but it's gravy and it has mushrooms in it. So that's what we're gonna do. Okay, so to this, I normally add a little bit of thyme. I don't know, about a teaspoon or teaspoon and a half. I just do by eye. And so again, you can kind of see how much. I'll do a nice big pinch of salt. and some fresh ground pepper. And then normally, I'll just put a couple squirts of Worcestershire sauce. But like I said, I don't have any. I forgot I ran out and I didn't buy any. Oh, I'm also gonna add an egg for a binder, just to help it stick all together, especially with all that mushroom in there. They do tend to fall apart a little bit. So for this Worcestershire sauce, here's what I'm thinking. A little bit of soy sauce. I'm thinking a squirt of ketchup. This is almost out too. I'm thinking a splash of apple cider vinegar. And for like that, something's beeping. Then a little bit of, I happen to have fish sauce. And I feel like it'll add kind of that umami, whatever that is, flavor. And I do normally, this is normal. So I usually do thyme, Worcestershire, and minced onion. I've learned, I used to use fresh onion, and then the kids would complain that they didn't like the onion texture, blah, blah, blah. So, sorry. So now I've learned to use dehydrated onion, and no one complains, and I still get my onion flavor. So I would say I've got about 3 or 4 tablespoons of minced onion. So I'm gonna mix this up, and we'll see if it smells like my normal Salisbury steak. We'll see. All right, guys, I think it worked. It smells like my normal Salisbury steak for the most part. So this is what it looks like now. And I'll be honest, I do not pre-make the patties. I am preheating my skillet. So I'm gonna move us over there in a minute. And I make the patties and throw them right in the hot skillet. So I'll show you that technique and we'll make the gravy together. I also turn on the water for the noodles because they're only gonna take like 5 minutes once the water is boiling. And I'm going to now put the broccoli in. So I'll move you guys so we can see the whole process of the Salisbury steak and we'll keep making this meal. All right, we're over stove side, right? So water is about to boil, probably about 5 or so minutes. I have this, I use like a nice large skillet for the Salisbury steak because I'm going to brown the Salisbury steaks, take them out, then put the onions, not the onions, the mushrooms in and make the gravy. So I want something with like a nice big walls so I can do gravy in there. So I'm gonna add a little bit of oil, even though I'm not a big fan of adding oil when I brown meat, but I'm gonna end up making a gravy beef, so I want a little bit of fat in there in addition to the fat from the beef. So these guys, I shape them just to make a distinction between hamburgers and Salisbury steak. I make kind of like football shapes. Sometimes, it depends on my mood. And they're all gonna be different sizes, I'm not gonna lie. I kinda make a smaller one for my 11-year-old and a bigger one for my husband. You hear the sizzle. And I put them right into the pan. With the pound of ground beef and the mushrooms and the onion and the egg and all that stuff, I usually get about 5, depending on size. You can stretch it to 6 depending on how small you want them. I just try to make them fit in this pan. So I will get these all in and then I'll show you what they look like when I flip. I just sear them because they're gonna cook all the way in the gravy. All right, guys, I don't have a cameraman today, so I'm about to flip these. So can you see how they're getting brown on the side? See that? I like to cook them until, wow, this is really bad. Hold on. There we go. I like to cook them until I see that, again, that cookness come around, and then you know they're really seared. So let me flip one and we'll see what it looks like. This is the first one I put in. It might stick a little, that's okay. I'm gonna flip it. Sear. See that? Nice. So you just want to sear the other side now and kind of seal them so they stay together. And I'm gonna put them on a side plate, and then I'll soak the gravy. All right, so I flipped all of them and I seared them on both sides. So now I'm gonna take them out. That one I showed you is the only one falling apart, so I blame that. The rest are sticking together really well. Let's pull these out. I'm gonna then add another drizzle of oil to this pan and brown those mushrooms to get a lot of flavor out of them to kind of make as my basis for the gravy. So just a swirl of oil. It's running out, so I'm not actually putting that much. There's just not that much coming out. It's almost gone. And then my mushrooms. Now, I like to get these guys really cooked. I'm actually gonna time it because I don't normally time it. I'm gonna add a little pinch of salt with them, and I like to use the thyme now and put it in there too. And normally, when I have Worcestershire sauce, I'll add a few splashes now to help like deglaze the pan, but we'll just do it with my broth. I also, let me mix these up and kind of turn the heat up a little bit. Hold on, there we go, get them off. Nice cooking. I normally also make like a cornstarch slurry to thicken the gravy. I thicken this gravy a bajillion ways. Sometimes I use flour, sometimes I use chickpea flour, sometimes I use cornstarch. It's whatever I have. So today I'm going easy and I just did cornstarch. This is about 2 tablespoons of cornstarch mixed with soy sauce and apple cider vinegar. Like I said, normally I would just use Worcestershire sauce, Worcestershire. You tell me how to say it. I don't know. All right, so I'll be back once these mushrooms are done and we can kind of build this gravy. All right, mushrooms are starting to get brown. Also, checking on my broccoli and just give it a little kind of toss, make sure it wasn't sticking. I would like it like this, but the family likes it cooked a little bit more. So what I'm gonna do, so I don't burn it, is put it back in the oven and then shut the oven off. And it'll finish cooking and I don't have to worry about shutting it off later. Just gotta remember to take it out in about 5-10 minutes. So now for this gravy. So the mushrooms are kind of getting nice and brown on the edges. I am now gonna add my, this is like just homemade chicken broth I make out of bones. This was like some chicken thighs we cooked a couple weeks ago. So, I don't know, I'm gonna add about 2 cups. And like I said, normally I would add a Worcestershire sauce. I'm gonna bring this to a boil, kind of get all those like brown bits off the bottom from the searing of the meat. And just to help with the color, I don't always do this, but I do this especially when I don't have Worcestershire sauce. Worcestershire. All right, anyway. A splash of coffee works too, just to kind of build on some flavor. And then I had the soy sauce and the apple cider vinegar in that slurry, but I'm not gonna add that until it starts to boil and starts to thicken. And we'll kind of assess the thickness. Every time I make a gravy, it's just like, hey, is it working? No, need more of this, need more of that. So let's see how this goes. This might take a minute or two to bring to a boil. This is almost boiling, so I'm gonna just add the noodles to there. I can see the bubbles on the bottom of the pan. So I'll be back once this is boiling and my noodles are in. That way I don't take up too much of your time just waiting for things to boil because I don't have a prep kitchen. All right, noodles are in. I added a little salt to the water, by the way. Don't forget to do that. Also, I'm gonna now get little bubbles going on in my broth with my mushrooms. So I'm gonna add that cornstarch and it should immediately start to thicken. Wait, let me try to get some more. There we go. And it is. I need to be mixing it as I go. As I can see, oh yeah, it's immediately thickening. In a good way. Okay. So what I do now is get the right consistency that I want. At least it could be on the thinner side. It's okay because you can always thicken it more. I just want to kind of be able to drizzle this on top of the Salisbury steak and add it to the noodles. I can see that when I dip that back in. Let's get that in there. There we go. And you can do this with a whisk. The reason, I can already see that the bubbles are getting thick. So now, what I'm gonna do, let it thicken for a second. Okay, I'm making a mess over here, by the way. I'm gonna take my Salisbury steak, but all of this, I don't know if you can see it. See all that juice under there? We want to get that flavor in the gravy. Don't let that go to waste. So, get that juice in there. All right? Then give it another mix. And then add these guys right back in so that they can finish cooking in the gravy, also helping flavor it. So you're kind of killing a couple birds with one stone here. So I'm going to put these guys right back in. By the way, this is one of my family's favorite meals, which I find fairly odd. I don't know if you can hear the husband is playing Zelda with my son. All right, so these guys are all back in. Noodles will be done in a minute, really. I always try to get a little bit of the gravy on top. You could cover this if you want. I'm actually going to leave it on covered, not covered, because I want my gravy to get a little bit thicker. It'll get thicker if you don't cover it. If your thickness is good and you just want to cook the rest, feel free. I'm also going to lower the heat to like a medium, medium low, just so they continue to cook and simmer in there while I prepare everything else. Let's check in on the broccoli, which should be pretty perfect. Again, just salt and a little bit of oil. So let me start to get plates out and we'll plate this and I'll show you what it looks like. All right, everything is done. I only let it cook a few more minutes. I just drained the noodles. Now, my tip here is take a little bit of the gravy. Try to avoid the mushrooms for kids who are gonna complain. And put it in with the noodles. This stops them from sticking, kind of flavors them at the base. There we go. So I put a little bit of gravy in there. Mix that up. I actually kind of load a lot on there because somebody doesn't like gravy on top of stuff. Somebody. All right, so that's good. So I'm gonna add some noodles to everybody's plate. Plate number 1. I think we're gonna get a visitor. Plate number 2.
Who's this somebody?
No, is it you? Are you excited for dinner? You were starving, you said. Starving, you said. Starving. Okay, so which Salisbury steak do you want? You want this little guy?
Yes.
Which noodle? Don't eat the noodles. Which noodle plate do you want? This one? Which one? You pick a noodle plate.
I don't know.
All right, then this one it is. There you go.
No!
That's the one.
Dang it! I want the pig.
Well, you got a chance. Okay, anyway, Salisbury steak on each plate. Trying not to drip. There we go. There we go. Don't get crazy.
Thumbs up.
Giving me thumbs up. All right, then for everyone who's not the 11-year-old, we will add some extra gravy with some mushrooms on top. There we go. And then broccoli, and we're done. Here we go. So just a nice little pile of broccoli on everybody's plate, and I'll show you how this looks. And this is my little midweek meal. I think it took me 35 minutes from beginning to end. We'll see how much footage I have. Here we go. I lost broccoli overboard. All right, here. I'll take it like the only one. What one looks like. All right, off to for a family dinner. Thanks for watching, guys. That was really fun. Bye. Okay, quick update on dinner. Okay, you know, you ever watch Christmas Story and there's that whole story, there's always one. Wait till you see this. All right, first of all, I think they liked it because everything is empty except 11-year-old's plate. There's always one.